This is part 2 in a series of presentations on the vital statistics standards. In this session, we will review BFDR, which is an IHE standard that uses the HL7 CDA document approach. By the end of this session, you should know the steps in the process and how information is transformed from the EHR to vital statistics. A couple of questions, or problems rather. First of all, getting birth certificate data from an EHR. An EHR doesn't directly conform to vital statistics definitions and requirements. And second, EHRs don't contain demographic information, the information that's on the mother's worksheet that we don't want to collect from EHRs. The solution to these problems is the BFDR, Birth and Fetal Death Reporting Enhanced. It's an IHE profile, as you saw in part 1, which incorporates the HL7 CDA document approach. The first step in the process is the form request, where a birth certificate clerk is logged in to the mother's electronic health record and clicks a button within the health record to request a birth certificate. Clicking the button in the EHR to request a birth certificate starts the extraction and translation step. In this step, the EHR extracts relevant information from the medical records of the mother and the child, translates it into the standard LDS summary document. The LDS is a CDA, HL7 CDA standard, which defines content for birth certificates. So the translation takes EHR information, translates it to the HL7 specification, then sends it to the Vital Records Form Manager, which is a part of the EBRS system. Step 3 is the pre-population phase. Back in the Vital Records Form Manager, information in the LDS is pre-populated into a web form and then sent back to the EHR. Pre-population means that fields in the birth certificate form are pre-filled out. Notice that the form manager is in control. It can pre-populate or not, depending on how it's configured on the vital record side. So the configuration and the pre-population are all controlled by vital statistics staff. Finally, step 4, completion and submission. In this step, the birth clerk is back in the EHR, but they are viewing the birth certificate form, which looks just like the form in your EBRS system. Notice that things like the newborn medical record number are pre-populated. They're already completed. The birth clerk can key in demographic information such as the child's name collected from the mother's worksheet. The birth clerk can review all of the pre-populated information such as fetal presentation at delivery and characteristics of labor and delivery. Note that these data elements were all pre-populated on the form manager side, but those entries may be overridden by the birth clerk. Finally, when the information is all checked and ready, the birth clerk can enter relevant registration information, submit the document back to Vital Statistics for registration. Back in the form manager, the completed web form is received from the EHR, where it is checked for quality and consistency, and it is registered. Putting the pieces together, it starts back at step 1 with a form request in the EHR where the birth clerk clicks a button. That extracts and translates information into a standard HL7 CDA document, which is sent to the form manager. The form manager pre-populates a web form, then sends the pre-populated form back to the EHR, where the form is completed by the birth clerk and submitted back to the form manager, where it is registered. And those are the 5 steps of the BFDR process. A couple of questions: in what steps of the process is information transformed? First, in the extraction and translation step, and second, in the pre-population step. In both of those, information is transformed or changed to meet specifications of another system. And that concludes